Good morning and welcome to your favorite breakfast show, that is Smell the Coffee, the only show that I think goes very well with your cup of joe. I'm your host, Glenora Shipura, and of course we have a jam-packed show just for you, starting off with the memes of the day, getting into bizarre stories from around the world, and of course an interesting interview. Now getting into the first segment of our show, which is the interesting memes or reels that we have found on the internet. Let's take a look at the first one.
Oh my gosh, Sarah. Oh, you got it!
So this whole time when we were judging people in horror movies, we didn't know that, guys, it's not as easy. And to think that the killer was just, walking. He was just walking. He was not running, nothing. He was just walking. And the thing is, it's also the removing the key. I think that's the other thing, like putting it in and removing it. That's one of the things that will definitely take up most of your time. But yeah, interesting take on that. Because we all thought that, yeah, you know what, there's people in horror movies, stop it. It's not possible that you can't run as fast from somebody who's just walking towards you, rather. And there we have it, we saw it. Let's take a look at the next one. Now, my sister from another mother, she's not feeling very well today, and that is Diana Master. But this has been her lately. I'm calling her out on the show. This has been her lately. Homegirl is in love. She's happy. And you know what? We couldn't be happier for her. I just, wish the same for me in the near future. So, yeah, let's hope the people on the roster act right. Let's get into the next one.
Yeah.
I think people that live alone, there is an unchecked madness that you get to experience, and no one else will ever know about it. Because I know people that, I'm also one of them, but they will clean, they'll wake up at 12 and they'll clean their house. And they'll do laundry, they will do everything that they want to do in the middle of the night because, they have free will, it's their place, they live alone, nobody's going to question them. So I think that people that live alone, there is an unchecked madness that you get to experience. And maybe that's the beauty of living alone. You can do whatever you want. If the iron pissed you off, beat it. Beat it. Who's going to beat you? No one. Let's get into the next one. So you guys must tell me in the comments section, should you eat a burger with a knife and fork, or should you eat it with your hands and where everything falls apart? Is it also even possible to eat it with a knife and fork? Do I remove the bun and eat the patty separately? like, how can I do this in such a way that I come out looking nice while eating a burger? Let's take a look at the next one. I'm wondering if we have the next one. Oh, we have run out of all the trending reels, and that concludes our memes of the day segment. On the other side of this, we get into the top stories, more like the bizarre news from around the world.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
Now, this next story sounds like something straight out of a movie. In Sri Lanka, authorities have arrested 22 Buddhist monks at an airport in the capital Colombo after discovering a staggering 110 kilograms of cannabis hidden in their luggage. Officials say each monk was carrying about 5 kilograms of a potent strain known as Kush, carefully concealed inside false compartments in their suitcases. The group, mostly young student monks, had just returned from a fully paid holiday in Thailand. According to police, the trip was sponsored by an unknown individual. A 23rd monk, believed to be the organizer, has also been arrested. He allegedly told the others the packages they were carrying were donations and that someone would collect them upon arrival. Interestingly, investigators say the monks may not have known what they were transporting. Excuse me. The drugs were reportedly hidden among school supplies and sweets. Photos and videos found on the monks' phones show the group enjoying their vacation dressed in casual clothes, far from their traditional robes. The monks appeared in court shortly after the arrest and have been remanded in custody as investigations continue. Authorities say this is the first time such a large group of monks has been linked to a suspected drug smuggling operation in the country. Wow. Wow. I have so many questions. Could it be that some of the monks didn't know that, they were transporting cannabis this whole time? Were they really gullible to what the head monk had told them? Or is that just a fabricated story? Were they all in on it? And also, we also want explanations as to why they were seen with pictures. I mean, the pictures on their phones rather were found of them having fun and dressed in like casual clothes, and maybe they're not really monks. For some of you that don't know what the monks' oaths look like, some of it means that you don't get to have much of an outside life. That means you don't go out partying. You are dressed in monk robes, so that the point of being a monk is to strip down everything. So it's just about being as simple as possible. So the values that the monks or people or the monks that live in temples actually uphold are not corresponding necessarily with this monks. So that's why I'm wondering, like, is this an operation? Did they know about it? And also, could this be people pretending to be monks? Maybe they were like, hey, there's a way that we can smuggle drugs in the country. A group of people, whatever, decide to take up monkhood, and then they start the syndicate. Who knows? But I know that Netflix is definitely watching the space, and they are ready to drop documentary honors on this story. And let's take a look at the next story, which circles back to South Africa, where a small town in South Africa is being sold, and I think this guy explains it much better.
South African town is on its way to becoming entirely owned by foreigners. This is Scarborough, a small seaside village near Cape Town. And in the past year, more than half of their homes on sale were sold to people not from South Africa. In fact, according to latest data, Scarborough saw the highest proportion of foreign buyers in the whole of South Africa last year. And this has driven up property prices in the area like mad. For example, in 2016, the average house here was 2.3 million rand, and in 2025, it shot up to 7.85 million rand. But this isn't only happening in Scarborough, with many other areas in Cape Town in a similar boat. And if this trend continues, Scarborough could one day become the first South African town ever to be mainly owned by foreigners. And maybe even other areas will follow as well. Let me know what you think about this situation.
Wow. I didn't know that you could actually sell a whole town. Like, how possible is this? And also, I'm definitely interested in the development of this, and also what it means for the citizens. I mean, the people that are living there. How does that look like in the future? I mean, it's just baffles me that you can decide, this little town, we're selling it. That's what's happening. So obviously, very interesting story, but also I have a lot of questions, and also the legality of it. How does that work? Is it legal to sell a town? Can a town belong to someone? I have questions. And if you have the answers, do let us know on our social media pages. And with that, we have come to the end of this segment. On the other side of this, we are in a conversation with a multidisciplinary artist. His name is X. I'm joined in studio by a visionary artist, someone who has worn many hats and always wants to show up as authentic as possible to every project. Good morning, X. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you doing, Glenora?
I'm quite excited to have you in studio. I'm quite excited to have this conversation early on in the year, because you're one of the artists that I always look out for in terms of just the work that you're doing. And everything that you do is, always inspiring, and you're always pushing yourself to the next limit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So how has the year 2026 been? I know it's quite early, but how has it been so far as an artist?
As an artist so far, in an individual capacity, I think 2026 looks very promising. Again, I always like to say this. I feel like there's a new temperature in the art industry, in the creative industry, and myself as an artist, there's a lot that you can plan for. There's a lot that sounds exciting, that sounds like it's going to, sort of flourish. So again, like you said, it's very early on in the year, so you can't say too much. You don't want to jinx things that you have planned, but there's a positive start to it individually. But you know, the world doesn't look very bright at the moment. So there's obviously that thing of like trying to balance reality with your optimism, you know? So
Speaking of that, and also how artists need to be a voice or the mirror to where society is, or the reflection of the times. I've seen most of your work, and it really does that. Your last play, you were tackling quite a few heavy themes, but it was also inspired because this is what I see in the community, and I'm just reflecting the times. How important is that for you as an artist to always hold up the mirror to society?
I think that's the role of every artist, actually. In fact, everyone that has, even if you're not an artist as a profession, if you have a sketch pad at home, it's important for you to reflect what it is that inhibits you internally and whatever you see as going on in the world around you. Because that's how you preserve who you are, and that's how you preserve, let's say, the national identity of a country. It's by creating the art that reflects that. It's been quite a journey trying to really find my footing in expressing what, because it's very difficult to be honest as an artist, especially when you start commercializing your art. You want to meet the standard, the status quo, whatever is popular, whatever is trending, and most of the time things that are reflective of society. People don't want to consume substance anymore. We live in a world, the digital era or whatever, but we live in a world where it's so easy to consume things. It's like you just scroll. It's just art, even on social media. So creating art that challenges, that makes people think critically about the world around them, about themselves, it's important, and I think it's the role of every artist to some degree. Even if you make abstract art, you need art that makes people think about themselves and about the world they live in, essentially.
I love that. And you did speak on trends as well, and how it's important to try to be as authentic as possible, but still, be in the know of the trends that are happening. What kind of trends are you seeing right now, or trends that we might be heading into in the industry?
So let me start with artists have become independent curators and creators now, especially with the advent and the promise of the internet era and the technologies like AI and AR and VR and all these new technologies that are driving what it means to be an artist in a completely new direction. And it's trending also, of course. I mean, we saw like with the advent of social media, it became much more easier to sort of disseminate your art globally, because you are in charge of it. You are in charge of distribution, because the internet platforms and social media platforms made that possible. So when was the internet introduced? Like early 2000s. So now in 2026, it's taken a level that is
where you can be a business on your own, and you don't need all these other factors or agents
and people
record labels and whatnot. It also removes a level of, I'm not saying all record labels are bad, but or companies per se that house and manage artists are bad, but there were issues in the past where you hear stories of like artists, I sold how many millions of albums or books, what have you, but I didn't make so much money from it because of the contracts I signed.
Yeah. So there's that sense of like independence of being drawn away as an individual artist, being drawn away from institutions and being able to own your art, own your work, direct the channel in which it flows, things like that.
And also own your voice as well.
Own your voice as well.
Very important, which is, I've seen quite a few artists blow up just on social media.
Yeah.
And I don't see them like being signed on to anybody, but you can see that they have like millions of views on YouTube and they are doing their own thing, which is very nice and holistic.
They themselves become the brand, the entity, the company.
Yes.
As an individual artist, you become the institution that sort of produces the work that you create as an artist.
Do you think that this new trend especially the use of social media,
Uh-huh.
is good news for Namibian artists, because there's always been that notion that, oh, if you're an artist in Namibia, you're just going to
Yeah.
suffer, you're going to
Yeah.
starve. So do you think that this is a platform for us as artists to, get on and, just see where it goes?
Yeah, I can answer that in two ways. One, it's not just social media, but other technologies, like we said now, the new trends that are happening, artificial intelligence and so forth. I think there's two ideas that you can have to it, like a positivist one and a negativist one. One, the Namibian industry, the creative arts industry, like I said, it's only now with with the administration of the current president where we see some kind of recognition and true appreciation and acknowledgement of the importance of art and trying to, distribute resources to build the industry. But then it also comes at a point where like the technology is so advanced to the point where you don't have it's in let's say in first world countries, creative industries are being threatened by our own creations, by technology. You don't need a whole set to create a film. You don't need a director, producer, writer. You just need AI. You just need AI and a producer. Because script writing,
which is a bit sad.
you know.
Yes.
So if that same reality sort of presented onto Namibia in this, it's not in the early stages. I mean, the art industry has been around. You know,
Yeah.
we have had artists for
Yeah.
for decades since our independence. But in my experience, having conversations with people that are sort of the veterans of the art industry in Namibia, the older filmmakers, the older cultural practitioners, I always sense a bit of like a sense of not regret, like spitefulness. Like, why only now? Like, we are old, we're about to retire, and
And
only
now it's
now,
just starting to pick up.
it's only starting to pick up now, and you see it's very palpable when you enter rooms where people are having conversation on trying to formulate policies around the art creative industries. The older people always seem to be a little bit more frustrated with the fact because they're about to retire, and then there's an idea that my generation, Gen Z, doesn't really understand the importance of art to a society, because again, everything is so cheap and so easy to make, and you can create a Mona Lisa with a prompt, like the process of
writing, even academically, you can see that the time it used to take to study for something and what have you, I have to read a whole textbook. Now I can just put a prompt, please summarize, I'm doing a test and this is what we're going to focus. Summarize the most important things that I need to know about this, and that's it. And then I go and write the test and I pass. But I have not sat down and consumed a work of somebody, a body of work.
Yeah.
Do you get it? It's just snippets of it. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. So the world is moving to that. Speaking of AI and the creative industry, we're seeing more and more writers, musicians, what have you, are using AIs. And there is a positive to it. I've listened to some music or musicians who've used AI.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I thought you were going to say AI artists.
Yeah, not AI artists. They would, let's say I don't have a producer, so AI does my producing for me. And I can see how it helps, especially when you're starting out and you don't have the money to pay for a producer, what have you. So there's this guy that I'm following on social media. He used AI to create his beats, but the vocals is his, which I have to say I respect him for that. And I love that that's the direction he's going for, because it's quite expensive, especially if you're starting out. But at the same time, it takes away from the human touch.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point of it all. AI can do incredible things. It can make work so much more effective, so much more efficient, so much more convenient and easier to do in any industry. Especially in the arts. But then it takes away from that human touch.
Yeah.
And so let's say I'm a bit of a negativist. Maybe I've watched too much
Black Mirror.
Futuristic sci-fi films about AI taking over the world or whatever. The first thing as an artist that I would fear is that instead of thinking about robotics, we won't be able to do anything. You have an AI that's cleaning your room, your house. You have AI that drives, or you take a robot or whatever, electric car, whatever, that drives your kids to school. You don't have to go anywhere and do anything because you have created these technologies that can do everything for us, and then humans basically just become people that eat and sleep, consume. The perfect utopia of AI and technology. But what would that mean for art? That means nothing that we consume is created by the hands of a human. You watch a movie, a film, it's generated. You see a painting, it's generated. You listen to music, it's generated. It's written, it's produced, everything, all the elements that goes into making music. So I do respect people that are trying to move with the time, artists that are trying to move with the times, like the person you mentioned that would make a beat with AI but still put their own vocals. But at one point, someone else is going to realize, no, it's easier to just also let AI generate my voice. Let me record my voice. And then at one point, we don't have any original art or
anymore.
human art with human touch to it. And I like to quote, it's a German philosopher, I don't know if you know him, but Friedrich Nietzsche. I know you like philosophy.
I know him. Of course I'll know him.
Yeah. And he had this idea that in order for humans, the point of being alive on this earth as a human being is to sort of struggle. And if you're going to project that into your art, AI doesn't have struggle. It just analyzes.
There's no human soul to it.
Exactly.
A human touch brings the endurance, the suffering, the joy, what have you, and that's what make it so unique and palpable to everybody else. So.